Madam Speaker, in the fall of 2008, our economy was in its worst shape since the Great Depression. Predatory and subprime lending were at an all-time high. The housing bubble had just burst, and many of our largest financial institutions had gone bankrupt. Retirement and savings accounts were cut in half, forcing many to stave off retirement and continue working well into their golden years. Over 200,000 American workers were being laid off each month. In the state of Ohio, unemployment was growing rapidly, quickly approaching double-digit numbers. And in my district, the unemployment rate was even higher. In October of 2008, I arrived in Congress with the goal to help struggling Americans. My number one priority has been to promote policies that create jobs and spur economic development. I have consistently advocated for such policies. The Congressional Black Caucus and the Democratic leadership made it our duty and responsibility to advocate for jobs. Earlier this year, the House passed H.R. 4213, the American Jobs and Closing Tax Loophole Act. In Ohio alone, Madam Speaker, this legislation would have extended unemployment and COBRA benefits to 86,000 workers. It would have provided college tuition deductions to 153,000 students and allocated over $42 million for youth summer jobs. For the nation, H.R. 4213 would have provided $500 million to restore credit to small businesses, the same small businesses that are creating most of the jobs in this nation. It would extend the research and development tax credit, and finally, it would have granted $25 billion in bonds for infrastructure development. However, Madam Speaker, there has been no action on the part of the Senate while Americans continue to suffer. In May of 2010, the House Appropriations Committee drafted a war supplemental that included necessary funding that protected our soldiers abroad and our workers. Thoughtful legislation included $23 billion to save jobs for teachers, $5.7 billion for Pell Grants, $1.2 billion for COPS grants, and $500 million to save firefighters' jobs. However, once again, Madam Speaker, the Senate passed the legislation without any of these necessary job creation measures. The Senate must act now to help hardworking Americans. The Congressional Black Caucus and the House Democratic leadership fought to keep creation and job-saving measures in this bill. We fought back and sent legislation that included $10 billion to save teachers' jobs, almost $5 billion for Pell Grants, $4.6 billion for settlements of the Pickford and Cobell discrimination cases. And on Thursday, just this past Thursday, the Senate once again rejected these measures. I have always believed that it is the job of government to help its people. If we are not helping the people that we represent, I don't know why we're here. I ask the Senate, where is your job creation legislation? What are you doing to help teachers, to help police officers and firefighters? What are you doing to get the American people back to work? We cannot allow American families to suffer through these difficult times any longer. They are counting on job creation measures, and we cannot let them down. I urge the Senate, Madam Speaker, to move quickly to help create jobs to get Americans back to work. If we do not allow Americans to go back to work and make people believe that because you are unemployed, you are lazy, to make people believe that because you are unemployed, that you don't want to work, it is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life. The people I meet in my district every day, every weekend that I'm home, they talk about wanting jobs. They talk about how they have been laid off. They talk about wanting to get jobs for their young people. Do you know this may be the first summer in history where young people's jobs may in fact be feeding their families, but yet we can't pass a jobs bill that will allow young people to work for the summer. If young people had things to do, maybe we wouldn't have the kinds of issues that Marcy Kaptur talked about. We have to find a way to say to the American people that we do in fact hear you, that we do in fact know that you are our neighbors, our friends, that we know that you are the people who are in most need, and if we can't help those who need the most, we really are a group of people who has lost sight of what our role is. I mean, yes, there are people doing very, very well here. Corporations have made more money in the last year I think it's something like 43%, their profits are running 43% higher than they did the year before. But yet we can't take care of the everyday person on Main Street. They're getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And there's something needs to be done. And so I would, at this time, Madam Speaker, yield back my time with the caveat that I expect that the Senate will do its job, because certainly those of us in the House will continue to do ours. I yield back.